Etepu, Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, Haru Nefer. This is Kasank Ma'a Keparu with another video for you. And in this video, I want to talk about why magic doesn't work. But before I do that, I'd like you to hit the like button on this video. And if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live or when I upload recorded videos. And we have free ebooks for you, so you can take advantage of that right now. Just click on the link below and you can download an ebook and start reading more on my teachings and in the teachings on spirituality in general. Also, if you're not a Patreon supporter, please consider becoming one. You can do so for as little as $1 or $20 per month, and you get access to training videos. And these are videos on hypnosis, how to perform a ritual, how to invoke spirits, proper breathing techniques, and a lot more. So it's well worth your support. So welcome. I want to talk about a very important subject, and I'm not going to make this a long video, but it's going to be an important video. And we're going to deal with why magic doesn't work. Now, the one thing that science is very, very good on, or our modern day science is very good on, and that is going around and disproving the knowledge and the legacy of our ancient ancestors. And they do this by what they call is repeatable experiments. They say that science is it's exact, meaning that if you cannot duplicate the results, then it's invalid. And to a degree, I subscribe to that, but then I do not. And I'll explain to you why. You see, we have elevated the left hemisphere of the brain so much so that we have created a criteria, and this criteria is just this box, and everything must fit nicely and neatly within the confines of this box. And if it doesn't, we immediately discount it without ever really looking at the fact that maybe the box itself is flawed, or maybe there is only so far science can take us, and that there is a point beyond science. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, we know through the double slit experiment, where, we see how, the particle can be a particle or a wave, and how a subatomic particle responds to the observer. Now, this confounds, this is very puzzling to scientists, the idea that reality only exists in accordance with the observer. It rattles them. It makes no sense. You understand? When you get to the higher levels of spirituality or esoteric knowledge, then you get into a very sticky situation where it's almost as if there are no rules, that things change consistently and they adapt. When I was studying the cases, reported cases of individuals encountering, for example, like poltergeists or spirits or any sentient beings, these cases, are often poo-pooed by science. But one of the things that I saw was a common factor in all of these was the fact that many individuals reported as if the spirit, the being, or whatever, it was almost as if it was reacting to the individual, and it would change according to the individual. And it was never fixed. It was never consistent. And I found that very, very interesting, because I related that to the occult science, and it made a lot of sense to me. So let me go deeper and explain a little bit about this. Now, if I were to work with somebody, a subject or a client, and I were to tell them that, all right, so you had this thing happen which you label as bad. Now we're going to put you into a state of trance. You're going to revisit that situation. And in reliving that situation, you're going to see it unfold in a different way, in a very positive way. And because the subconscious mind, or the right hemisphere of the brain, doesn't take into account past or future. There's no such thing as the past or the future with the subconscious mind. There's only the now moment, which is this period right now that's going on. It doesn't distinguish between those two, the past and the future. It collapses them into one singularity. So you then actually rewrite that past and it becomes a reality. And because it becomes a reality, it changes the present moment. Because that so-called past and the present moment are intertwined. So let me say that again. An individual experiences something that was like maybe 2 days ago that was kind of unsettling, with they weren't happy about. I put them into a state of trance. They revisit that situation, and I play out a different scenario where things worked out really well for them. And because they are in a state of trance and they recall that situation and rewrite the situation, it then now changes the present. But when I prescribe that to individuals to do it on their own as part of self-hypnosis, they come back to me and they say it didn't work, that the present moment has not changed, and that they still can recall the unsettling past. Now, does that mean that the technique is not effective, that the technique doesn't work? Absolutely not. The technique works. But here's where we get into the sticky areas of magic, of occult science. You see, there's a book that I read several years ago that really had an impact on me. It was an awesome book. It was called Liber Null and Psychonaut. Liber Null and Psychonaut. And in the book, you took on the role of a psychonaut, a type of astronaut of the mind, exploring the mind, you see. And this is what occult science is all about. Now, I spoke about the fact that although this technique that I prescribed to you may not have worked for you, it doesn't mean that the technique is not effective. But as a magician, as a magi, or as a hypnotherapist, it is incumbent upon me to do a deep dive exploration into your psyche to try and understand what you have going on. Because at the end of the day, you have certain belief systems, and we have to honor those belief systems. In other words, if I tell you that if you go into trance and revisit that experience, now see yourself in that situation, maybe not, let's say, for example, you asked a woman out and she made fun of you and laughed at you. And I said, see it as if now she accepted your invitation for a date and you guys went on a date and you had a great time. And you did, and it didn't change anything. Well, if you have a sense of low self-esteem and it's deeply embedded within you, then I, as the hypnotherapist, the, the priest, the spiritual coach, I have to recognize your belief system and you have to honor that belief system, meaning that you have to recognize that that belief system, one of low self-esteem, is cemented in your psyche. And that that technique, although sound and effective, in your particular case won't work for you because of the low self-esteem that you have, which is a very strongly rooted thing, and the woman triggered it. So obviously that technique's not going to work for you. So instead, I would administer or prescribe a different technique, one that would deal with maybe with the present circumstances. Okay, this is why when we look at modern science and it judges the occult practices, the religion of our ancestors, and it says that these things don't work, it is simply because science fails to understand that we all are individuals. And as individuals, we all come with our own set of belief systems that are not similar to one another. And because we all come with our own individualized set of belief systems, then we cannot expect the same magic to work as a cookie cutter system, a one size fits all method. It won't work that way. Therefore, we have to take into account the subject's belief system and then have a workaround for that. In other words, typically I would have to sit down with you and do an audit of your psyche and see what your triggers are, what your hang are what your core belief systems are. And with that firmly understood and in mind, then I could craft or decide what magical application works best for you. But you see, science has generalized and prejudged us and says, because in that instance, that one instance, because it's not, the results are not duplicatable on a mass level, then science discounts it. You see, the subconscious mind changes. There's an ebb and a flow. The ancients symbolized it as water moving, not static. It is constantly responding. You see, you must understand that you are a reality generating machine. Your spirit or subconscious mind is creating the reality that you're interacting with. And it's dynamic and it's creating it within the millisecond. It's so instantaneous and it continually changes because your belief system is going to be changing. And I tell individuals that you even create the people around you. They are avatars, they are products of your mind. And that you may be with a particular mate and you may find that he changed on you and you wonder why he changed. And it wasn't that he changed, you changed. Your belief system changed. In so doing, you now manifest a different mate with different qualities and different characteristics. Do you understand? And you were like, well, I want the old mate back. Well, I say, then drop back to your default belief system or go back to your old way of thinking. And then maybe that old mate will manifest. This is the key to mastering magic and understanding it. If I am working with another magician and he gives me an insight into his magical practices and his techniques, and I try to apply them, many times I expect them not to work because his psyche, his belief system, his core beliefs are far different than my core beliefs. So therefore, I have to look at the beliefs that I harbor and then retailor his magical formula or script so that it can work for me. So I want you to know that many times when you hear people and they say, well, I've tried the law of attraction, I've tried The Secret, I tried reality transurfing, and it did not work for me. So therefore, this whole realm of the esoteric is mumbo jumbo. I want you to understand that is not true. That you must take into account the individual's mindset, their belief system, and you have to honor that belief system, understand it, and then come up with something that can navigate around that belief system so that it can be effective. See, the modern Western mindset has failed miserably in, in diagnosing the past civilizations of antiquity. It has looked at them from a purely superficial level and passed quick judgment against them, and then disseminated that false information on a planetary scale. Hence is why you will see much propaganda put out against our ancestors as pagan, backwards, primitive in belief. And that is simply not so, because they did practice a science of their own, a science of the occult. So I want you to understand that when you are working with a priest, a magician, that is not a matter of going to them and them just doing a quick ritual for you or just throwing you into a state of hypnosis to change a past belief system. They must sit down and have a consultation with you, do an audit with you of your belief system, of what's going on inside of your psyche. Because if they don't do that, then they're doing you a disservice. You cannot take one magical application and think it's going to apply to all. We have to be careful of those generalizations. There are some people who affirmations work really, really well, while others doesn't work at all. There are some who can put up, a vision board and work with that, and it can be extremely effective. And others, it does absolutely nothing. Because in those cases, we're not all cut from the same cloth. We're all very different. And the sooner that we understand that, the more effective we can become as magicians. I understand very clearly in working with a client that I have to get deep into their mindset to understand them and understand what is going to work. When you go to the Oracle system, or if you are a practicer of tarot, you know that you can take 3 tarot practitioners or diviners and give them all the same question to query the tarot, and all 3 will come up with 3 different and unique answers. Why is that? That is because the tarot is speaking to them as individuals. And it's really a different perspective on the question, the same question. It is answering the question, but it's giving you a different flavor to the question. 3 different flavors or 3 different perspectives. So keep that in mind. Magic is not a one size fits all. It is not something you can bottle and sell. I wish it were that easy. I could just simply take spells and incantations or whatnot and from other master magicians and apply them, and my life would be harmonious. And it's, you just can't do it that way. So that was a quick message I wanted to just send out there to explain to those who come from the perspective that magic doesn't work. Science has proven it doesn't work. No, science has not proven anything. Only thing that science has proven is that it is inadequate to judge the occult, to judge magic. Hmm. In the same way as the best, hey bro, been doing your recent ritual along with my own theta wave subliminals and now seriously overwhelmed with synchronicities, particularly seeing my city lottery brands on license plates. And this also explains why when we do things like synchronicity, or not do things like synchronicities, but when we do our rituals, we will see synchronicities. But the synchronicities are different for every person. Although we can be working on the same thing, what pops up can be unique from my experience and separate from yours. We could all be doing a meditation on attracting love, and the synchronicity or signs that will show will be very unique and distinct across the board. Does it mean it's not working? No, it means it is working. It's very effective. It means that we all think differently. You see, magic is going into the deepest recesses of your subconscious mind and pulling things out from there. And it's showing its signs in the physical 4D realm. Do not expect it to be the same from person to person. It will change on you. And that is the one thing that's very interesting about magic, where you could perform a ritual today and then jot down your results, which you should always do is keep a book to note the results. And notice that when you perform the exact same ritual a month from now, you'll get very different results. You see, you are a multi-dimensional being. You're shifting through parallel reality. So even you are changing. You are never the same. Never the same. The thoughts that I had 20 minutes ago are radically different than the thoughts that I'm having now. And your magic keys in on that acutely. I remember now just driving back from the studio we had shot today and being very agitated. And I could just see what I was manifesting. Far different from when I'm at peace. I manifest very different things. Now, our goal, of course, is to get to that level of ma'at and be consistent, because ma'at is consistency. Ma'at is balance. And that is our goal. You see, when we have obtained the goal of Osir, we become the mummy, still, not moved by emotion, not swayed left or right, at peace. And from there, we can work wonders with our magic, because Neter, God, is not going to give us real spiritual power, knowing full well that we are controlled by our animal spirit, controlled by our emotions. There's no way that you can get to the level of Sekert, the high priestess in charge of these 72 mantras, words of power. There's no way you can get to the level of Ptah, the great creator, until you go through Ma'at, living truth. Until you can go through Haru, which is Meneb and Ankh and Ma'at, keeping your heart still to live truth, being at peace. There's no way you can attain great power without being at peace. Because a person who can get access to spiritual power and operates from the Sahu level can do great damage to the planet and to the universe. So God puts in a protective mechanism, which is Ma'at. You have to go through Haru and Ma'at, and you'll climb up the tree of life. Don't forget, though, that you have happiness. It's an inner joy that is not dependent upon external things. It is a peace that comes from within, a peace that nothing can disturb. You see, there is the outer joy of people giving you compliments or you getting gifts or buying things to make you feel good. And then there is the inner joy that comes from deep within you and is not dependent upon anything. You can easily invoke that. It is a natural state of your being. You see, the deities are intelligences that govern the universe, but they exist within us. And we have access to their power. So I wanted to hit you, my magi's, with this message about the one size fits all. And I want you to understand that when somebody next time confronts you to tell you about how the esoteric doesn't work, how magic doesn't work, and science has proven that, well now, you can let them know that magic goes above and beyond science. Science only goes to a certain level. And from there, magic, the rules of magic take over. Just like in physics, they understand and they freely admit this, that when you study a black hole, when you go to the center of the black hole and you go down into it, all the rules of physics cease to exist. And they have to come up with something radically different to explain what happens in the center of that black hole. And in the same way that science goes to a certain point, and now you have magic takes over, a new science. Think about that. So I want to thank you, my magi's. This is Kasank Ma'a Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. Ma'at is the beautiful goddess. Heteru Hathor. Until my next video, Amen Ra.